Today, I want to talk about something I see often in the spiritual community. Whether you're a coach, a healer, a sound healer, whatever it is that you do, Reiki practitioner, there are many of us who feel like we need to quit our jobs really quick and make all the success in our business. And today, we're going to talk about why that might not be the best ideal for you and what actually needs to shift in order to experience the life and success that you are searching for. So this is something that has been brought to my attention, through this past year of working with clients. A lot of them want to start businesses. A lot of them want to go all in on their business. And while that's a desire that's in their hearts, um, it also raises this idea, this flag of why is there so much pressure being put on um, achieving this ideal of a certain amount of income from my business with a certain in a certain window of time. So, I might hear people say, I quit my job, I'm going to quit my job, or I want to quit my job in X amount of months and make this amount of money. And oftentimes there's a lot of pressure being put onto them by themselves to reach this outcome. And the bigger question that I think is beneath the surface of all these different scenarios, whether it's quitting cold turkey or saying I need to quit, within 2 months or whatever it is why is there a need to escape the current life and situation and job I'm in currently? Because I don't want to say always, but I've noticed this underlying theme of if I just get this, right? If I just get this business, if I just start my business, if I just get this amount of money coming in from my business, I will feel happier. I will feel whole. I will feel um, aligned. I will feel whatever it is, right? Whatever the outcome is. And then, so my question is, how do I achieve that state that I'm looking for now? Because, I'm a teacher and, before I became a teacher, I also worked in um, behavior support education. And so I learned throughout that those years of doing that job that there are four different functions of behavior that we see in children and can also be seen in adults. And they are sensory, escape, attention, tangible. And oftentimes, when people are talking about their business, I notice that um, the function of their behavior in wanting to achieve this outcome in this new business is often escape. And so, my question then for these people are, why do I feel the need to just escape my life currently? And because what happens is people might quit their job and then place themselves in a situation that is going to recreate the same issues from that same consciousness that they were in when they were in the 9 to 5. So, and then on top of that, the added stress of not having a steady salary, um, and then having to navigate those nervous system activating things that come with running a business and moving through those shadows that could have been um, worked through with a steady salary, with a steady income, and with a lot more ease and stability. And I'm not saying it's like totally um, it's not, no, somebody who quits their job and goes all into business can't make it successful. I'm just saying, I think I see a lot of um, instances where the business is a form of escape for something in their life currently that they are not enjoying. And even for myself, I had to come to terms with that, right? Because ideally, I love working on my business. I love working with clients. I love what I do, helping people alchemize, um, their shadows and helping that expand their consciousness and grow. And at the beginning, when I first started, I did have that same idea of putting all this pressure on myself to perform a certain, um, output of, you know, clients, of how much money I was bringing in, of what that success like, if I opened a studio or if I didn't, and did I have a website, all these things. And I realized I was just making myself miserable, right? I was making myself miserable. And now I feel like I've reached this level of comfort, of, I don't want to say comfort, more like fun, enjoyment, engagement. And that doesn't mean everything is easy. There are still things that are hard, that are difficult, that, take my brain to figure it out and ask for help and seek guidance. And on top of that, I get to do it in a more fun, easeful way, as opposed to making it my end all be all. I must make this happen, do or die kind of thing. Um, which would just send my nervous system into more dysregulation, which wouldn't be good for me, wouldn't be good for my clients, wouldn't be good for just living my life. And so I've learned to um, enjoy my 9 to 5 job, enjoy my teaching career. Teaching was another passion of mine that I've loved for so long, more than a decade now, that I still give my heart and soul to, that I still feel passionate about, that I still feel um, is in congruence with what I'm doing currently with my coaching, with just how I'm showing up in life. And instead of seeing it as something I needed to escape, I realized this is something I love too. And I get to build a business, and I get to coach people, and I get to um, make content on YouTube, and right, in addition to, and so it comes from this expanded place where I love my life, I love my job, I love the things that I have, and I get to learn and grow and expand in addition to that, right? And if eventually that means letting go of my teaching job, then I'll do it from the space and energy of contentment, of wholeness, of love, acceptance, expansion, as opposed to escape, pressure, scarcity, lack, fear, right? That some people put themselves into when they put all this pressure to start a business, get a bunch of clients, gain visibility, make a ton of money in 1 month, right? In such a short time frame. And so I guess what I'm saying is, again, how do we look at our lives from the space of I love and accept all that I have now? And what brought me to this point of not loving my life? Not, and how do I take the full responsibility of what I've created thus far? And if it's something that I'm unhappy with, if it's something that doesn't bring joy to my life, um, and love in my heart, how do I fully accept that and transform that into something I do love, right? And I think leading from this space will bring so much more success, um, and so much more enjoyment and so much more expansion now, right? Not when you do this, right? Not when you start the business, when you reach that milestone, when you sign 15 clients, right? It happens now in the present, when you draw back in that energy of this is the life I've created. These are the things I love. These are the things I don't enjoy. Um, how can you create your best life now? And when you lead from this place, you naturally attract opportunities that are going to lead to more abundance, lead to more love, lead to more gratitude, because then you become an energetic match for those things. Whereas if you are putting all this pressure on yourself to reach a certain milestone and reach a certain amount of clients, like I need to get these clients or I won't be able to pay my bills because I quit my job and put all my money into this business. And if I don't, it's like there's a lot of pressure, a lot of fear, a lot of lack. And thus we create more of that. We create the fear, we create the fearful experiences, we create the lack experiences over and over, and then are feel guilty, feel um doubtful, feel hopeless, feel like, oh, it didn't work out after all, feel unworthy, all the things that again help become this loop and spiral into um, despair. And we don't, and sometimes people don't realize like that was of our own doing. That was we created that. And so again, leading back from this empowering stance of I get to create the life I live and I have thus far, and um, looking at my life through a lens of acceptance of what can I do to begin creating the life I love now. And sometimes people might see that as, yeah, I gotta quit my job. This is like a terrible place. It's sucking my soul dry and I have anxiety all day and I can't sleep at night. So yes, maybe sometimes it is quitting that job, right? I've definitely done that. I've been there where I had to quit a job and then um but because I quit and then anyway, it might be that or it might just be I don't actually like my job, but I don't like that I do this. I'm going to fix that. Or I don't like that right? And there's certain things that we can shift and move and um, maneuver. And it's not always just, I have to quit my job and start a business, right? I think people make some things very black and white when they are very much not. Um, and so what I'm saying is when you see it that way, it does limit your choices and it becomes again this lack, this empowering um, state of being where when in reality, endless opportunities are abundant and available. And so how can you make these changes in your life, however small, however large, in this present moment that is going to create the most fulfilling life for you in this next second, in this next minute, in this next day, right? Within this year, within each of these moments over time. And I think from this space, you will naturally see yourself reach the outcomes and ideas of success that you had much more quickly than if you just abandon ship everything and try to force yourself um, into this idea of success. And I'm not saying like that it's not always possible, but I think that's where the alignment comes in. That's where the intuition, the inner guidance system comes in because you really need to be able to listen deeply about what is the next most aligned step for yourself in order to do that. Because I have had jobs where I quit cold turkey right off the bat because I knew it wasn't aligned. I knew it wasn't, I was literally getting sick going there every day and put my energy and attention into finding a job in that moment that I loved. And at that time, it was a huge pay cut. I ended up, getting paid a salary job to just something that was almost not minimum wage, but way less, right? And on top of that, I knew it was something that I loved it going to. I loved the atmosphere. I loved the commute. I loved the coworkers. I loved the students I served. Um, I didn't love the money that I was receiving, but I was grateful to have a job. I was grateful to have income coming in. And naturally, I wasn't even at that place for 2 months because I had attracted something that was even more in alignment with that I wanted. But I would have never gotten that job if I had stayed in the soul sucking job to begin with. Um, and on the same note, I've also like the job I'm in currently. I love teaching at this school. I get paid a really great salary. I have great work-life balance. I love my students. I love the staff I work with. The commute is great. And there's really nothing wrong with it. I really love it and I'm super grateful for this job. Does that mean I'm gonna throw it all away and go quit working my business? Sometimes I thought I would do that, but then I realized um why did it have to be that when I can be grateful for this and work on my business in a more regulated state where I can pour back into my business because I have this extra money, right? Because I can buy the things, the courses and the trainings and things that I want to learn about. Um, and still enjoy that. And some people might think, oh, that's just holding on. Um, but I know it's not always going to be there. And I hold the space for both of them, right? Until I pour more and more into my business. And there's some people that say like, no, you should just leave that up, let that go, and not leave the door open and go all in. And at first, I thought maybe that's something I needed to do, and now I realized in my own nervous system that didn't feel good, right? That felt like, oh my gosh, something um, that felt like it elicited fear or lack. And I realized like we could right. So you really have to tune in and see which one it is for you. But what was most important to me again was seeing, am I trying to escape something from my life that I'm putting all this attention on and achieving in my business? I realize life. I love my job. I love my family. I love the life I've created thus far. And I get to work on my business. So to me, that feels really good. I can continue that. And eventually, if I leave my teaching career, that's great. Not, that's great too. Um, but if there was something coming up where I was unhappy about my life somehow, if I was happy about some things, um, then I would fix those things, right? And so I guess what I'm saying is sometimes we place a lot of attention and focus on achieving something in one area of our life because it's a distraction for something we might be unhappy about in other areas of our life. Um, and that is the best. That's the work that's gonna get you a lot further than actually achieving the thing you thought you needed to achieve. Like, um, yeah, like for example, again, with the businesses, I thought, oh, if I'm not able to be this level of success in my coaching business, then it means this about me, right? But then I realized, no, that's the inner work right there. Is why do I feel like I need that to validate who I am, right? And then when I can unlock that, that naturally leads to more success in my life and my business. And so I think people have talked about this too, where starting a business or starting a project, whatever it is, can often be a reflection of your own inner spiritual journey. Um, and so, whatever it is that you're building that is of value, that is of passion, that brings you passion, I like to see it through the lens of what am I creating? What value do I wish to offer people? And um, how am I building this? And where is this building coming from? Is it from inspired action? Is it from alignment? Is it from conscious creation? Or is it rooted in lack and fear and scarcity? And really pay attention to that because going back to wanting to quit your job to go all in on your business, if the underlying function of that is escape, is I need to escape my life to hopefully achieve this different life in this business, that energy is being put into the thing that you are creating. So it's going to create more instances of fear, more instances of scarcity until you heal that pattern, until you become conscious of it, until you can shift and move from a more aware, conscious place and build from truth, from soul truth, and that is something that I think people need help with and need to really kind of turn within to feel into what is that for them. Um, and I guess this also kind of reminds me too of it happens too when you move. Like I noticed when I when I move, like for example, the last house we lived in, I had found that place because our previous place had just gotten a leak and we're basically living in an Airbnb temporarily and I was frantically trying to find a new place and I was so worried, oh my gosh, what if we don't find a place? And I just need to find anything and hurry, hurry, hurry and in a panic. And so that last house we lived in, I was entering that space with that kind of energy. That space naturally held more of that type of energy for us. Panic, fear, oh my gosh, what if this happens? Like worry, all of it. And living in that house and having all those experiences of that made them even more obvious to the point where I couldn't like act like they didn't exist anymore. I couldn't bypass them anymore. It's almost like I had to, again, that's the universe, God's way of showing us, yes, you need to like deal with this now, or you're just going to be creating more of it. And so once I truly could alchemize and learn from that situation, I could move in a different way from a different level of consciousness that allowed me to realize I no longer belong in this place. This is no longer an energetic max for me. It doesn't feel good anymore to be here. And be grateful for that place and know that I am moving on to something else, which brought me to this home where we live currently that is such a luxurious, beautiful, open home with lots of light, beautiful community, right? A pool, hot tub, playground, all the things that we want, a walking path, just beautiful greenery. And moving into this space, I remember seeing this space for the first time and feeling so much awe and love and gratitude and um just yeah, just gratitude for finding this place. And so far since moving in here, we've experienced more of that, more love, more gratitude, more grace, more peace. And even my mom has pointed it out. She's like, I don't know about what it is, but ever since you moved into that house, you've had so much luck, so many blessings. And again, it's because our outer environment is a reflection of what's happening internally. And so how we move into each um, area of our life, whether if it's moving or starting a new business or doing this, look at the energetic state that you're in while you're doing it. You're going to create more of that. And if there's something that is not right, if there's some dissonance, if there's some, you know, a block, there's something that needs to be dealt with. And you can consciously go in and do that or work with a coach or someone like me or do that if you know how to do that. And at the same time, the just life naturally, because everything is so divinely orchestrated without us even realizing it, we will return to that place of wholeness ultimately. And but the thing is, you can do it even faster, do it with more ease, achieve your goals more quickly with the help of a coach. with the help of a healer, with the help of someone who knows how to navigate through these things. And another example I'll give is the very first home me and my husband lived in together was, my husband lived there initially by himself. It was like a bachelor pad, not the nicest place, but um again, that was another place where at some point, I just hated living there because daughter, um, my daughter was born, we brought her home, and I realized, oh no, this is not the space for us because it was just not up to standard for my baby. And then I realized, like, this is not up to standard for me anymore. But again, I left that place thinking, oh, I just have to get out here, and oh, I hate this place, and oh, whatever. And what ended up happening was a leak, and it ended up having, so we had to leave. So I was like, oh my gosh, this is my moment. And think about a leak is something that is out of your control, right? And so it felt very, and I was already in this energy of, I hate this place. I don't want to be here. And now there's something that was out of my control that happens. And um, now we're in this panic and this fear and like, where are we going to live? And so um, the next place we lived in, again, was that home I told you about that just had more of those experiences, fear, lack, um, not really loving where we were, hating it, right? It's like, and so all of those were signals to us from God, from the universe, from ourselves about something that's not in alignment, something that is not right, something that needs to be looked at, something that needs to be transformed. And so even though we left that house, the energy and our internal state hadn't changed. So we just manifested more of it at the next house. And and that's what I'm saying is like what happens to people who quit jobs and try to start businesses, or quit jobs and try to just do something else thinking that's going to solve all their problems. The problem is internal, right? The shift needs to happen within for the outside to change. And so once we were in that house, that second house, and I noticed all these things were coming up and all this troublesome things started happening, I had to again take self responsibility. I had to take all the responsibility of, why is this happening in my life? Why am I creating this? What is this trying to teach me? What is this saying about myself? And truly heal from the inside out, which ultimately led to this beautiful home that we live in now. And there's always another level, a next level, and another unlocking of each expansion in your life, each level of consciousness, each level of awareness, each um, deepening into certain shadows that need to be illuminated and integrated. And so it's just this ongoing process of spiritual evolution, of returning to your whole self, um, which is your divine self, which is oneness with God, oneness with all that is. And so, um, yeah, I think this is just a great reminder to be aware of your energetic state, to be aware of, why am I really striving for the things I'm hoping to achieve, and how can I be whole here and now? Because if you don't feel whole here and now, there's still some type of illusion happening. There's still some type of um, pressure, deception, or um, conditioning happening in your life. And again, how can you return to that state of wholeness now and move from that place in accordance with your goals? Because that is going to get you so much more faster to the success once you have achieved it, once you've obtained it, because it will be truly something you can hold from the inside. And your external world and experiences will naturally match that of your internal state. And yeah, this video is a little bit different. I was just kind of talking about this with my husband beforehand, and I thought this would be a great video. Like, I didn't really plan for this. I didn't write out a script or anything. I just kind of like, or I didn't write out points or make a title or nothing. I just thought, oh, this is like a conversation I'm having with my husband. We always have the best conversations because we just chat like after we put my daughter down for bed, we just kind of chat about things and I share with him certain things that I haven't. I just feel like I have the best conversations with him that I'm like, dang, that could have been a great video, or that could have been a great reel, but a really good content. And I realized like I could just hop on right now and start talking about it. So I hope you found this interesting. And if you have any questions, you can leave me a message or a comment. But until next time, bye.